Hey guys, welcome to Torch Tales. One more episode, one more guest. I'm your host, Frank Vargas, and I'm going to let you know who this is in a second. But before I even get to that, about 3 years into the welding side of the industry, correct? AWS section...
I'm a deputy director, and I'm very involved in my section.
All right,
Niagara Frontier section.
Now she's just throwing titles out there.
I am.
Right? And where are we?
FabTech.
All right. Guys,
Good question.
ladies and gentlemen, Lexi Mcdermott. Did I say that right?
McDermott, yeah, close enough. Accent throws it.
I asked her like 4 times because I knew I was going to get it wrong. But Lexi, thank you so much, love, for allowing me to have a
We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad we found the time.
I know, I get it. And thank you again for allowing and kind of coming out of the booth and giving me this time. You are becoming a rock star in the industry in a good way, and I think you are learning, or you have learned how to work the system. And when I say work the system, guys, don't take that the wrong way. It's just we have to expose ourselves, and we have to represent our companies and represent ourselves at the same way. And she's doing an amazing job. But before we even talk about what you do now, and let's go back. Okay. Lexi, the little girl. Where's that little girl from?
So I'm actually from Ohio, a really small town called Lima, but I lived in Buffalo, New York most of my life.
All right.
When I graduated school, I started off in the industrial print industry, so I've always been involved in the male-dominated industrial side of things, working with a manufacturer at distributor and sales management.
So when you moved into Buffalo, how old were you?
8.
8.
Yeah.
Now you are 8, 9, 10, 11, middle school. How was Lexi then? What kind of girl was Lexi?
I always got one of those talks too much in class things, which to me...
I can see that.
I bet, yeah. To me, I always took that as a compliment because it means I'm outgoing and I'm engaged and they hear my voice. My parents may not have always taken it that way, but we got over it.
All right. Now, high school, same thing. What were you into in high school?
I played a lot of volleyball. I was heavily engaged or involved in track, but not the track side of it. I was a thrower, so I did shot put and discus and that kind of stuff.
Really?
I know. It was more of like a track club that I did throwing with. Hey. I got out of it, so I was cool with it. And I've always worked most of my life. I really enjoy being in the school and going to work and having my own money outside of what my parents could provide for me. So
that's awesome.
I've always...
So you've always been very independent.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now high school, you did all that. What happens after high school? What comes next?
So I went to the University of Buffalo for a dual degree in aerospace and mechanical engineering. And I went all the way through my junior year in advanced physics and advanced calculus and decided I hated everything about it.
So it took you 3 years to...
It did. I don't like to give up on things.
realize I hate this?
Yes. I hated it freshman semester, but I don't like to give up on things. So I continued doing it until my junior year. And then I realized that personable and people and business is what I really enjoyed. Gotcha. So I transferred everything over and I graduated with a bachelor's in business and a minor in marketing. All
right. So now I'm assuming that you are now 19, 20. How old are you then?
How old? Oh, then? I don't, however old you are when you graduate college, 19, 20, 21, 22.
That's what I was saying, right? So now what was your first job? Now you have a degree. You are 18, 19. What happens?
I looked out to get an internship the summer of my junior year with the company Kodak, Eastman Kodak, which
Kodak, the picture company?
Yeah, so they started off in films and pictures, but towards the time that the digital camera came out, they transferred over towards industrial printing. So I worked with my sales team out of the United States and Canada, and we sold gigantic aluminum plates. They get put through these machines and rollers roll over them to put words and color on it for newspapers and magazines.
Sorry guys, you guys by now, you guys know I do this all the time. I interrupt my guests. Wasn't Kodak based out of Rochester?
Rochester, New York, yeah. So I commuted.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So actually, that's very close from where Mike Krupnicki and his school is.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I've had a lot of time to get to know Mike and check out his school. We've gone out to lunch a few times. We're about an hour and a half apart. But cool. I'm lucky that my American Welding Society district is relatively small. I can get from one side of it to the other in 4 hours flat. So I get to interact with all the other sections and go to a lot of events and
that's awesome.
Stuff like that.
So how long were you at Kodak?
About 5 years. So I started off as an intern with their new sales training program. and I became a sales support person there. So I worked part-time my senior year. I worked full days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in Rochester. And then I did school full-time, 8 to 8, Tuesday, Thursday, for my entire senior year. And then when I graduated, I had a full-time job with Kodak.
That's pretty cool. And I know that one of the things that you were doing, you were handling the international department, which is, you told me earlier that it was Canada.
Yeah.
So you were traveling to Canada often?
Yeah, I would spend about a week a month in Canada, in Toronto, which is about a 2-hour drive from where I'm at in Buffalo. It was their headquarters. So I worked with our largest distributor out in that area at their headquarters, and I would interact with their executives and their shipping department and their marketing to understand how we could change the relationship that we had between us to improve it and make it easier. I managed our sales forecasting across the entire country so that my sales team had an easier access to that information, so they knew exactly what they were working on when they would go in to travel with them.
Got it. And then what happened that you transitioned into another industry, another company?
A recruiter had reached out to me like 6 months before I left, and I was like, I just started a new position within the company. I'm not interested just yet. Thank you for reaching out to me. And 6 months down the line, it was getting a little bit more difficult in the industrial print industry. Yeah. A lot of companies were downsizing and changing the way they went to market. Yeah. So she reached out to me again and goes, I have a job that's very similar to what you're doing. Do you want to hear about it? I said, absolutely. Yeah. So I went in and did the interview, and I'm really interested in education and learning and teaching others. That was a big job for me at Kodak, was helping the new salespeople understand how the company operated and what the different departments did, so that when they went into the field, they had that understanding of how the back end works.
So was that one of the selling points when you interview and the position that you were going to
I would hope so, yeah. It's very similar to what I'm doing now,
really?
Which, yeah, exactly.
And now, so let's share, who do you work for now?
So I work for Dynabrade. It's an industrial power tool company.
Okay. So if you were selling Dynabrade in 30 seconds, sell it to me.
Okay, so I live in the beginning and after of the welding process. To get an accurate weld, you need to have the metal clean, prepped, beveled accurately. Once the weld is down, you need to be able to remove it and get it to a certain polish, whether it's going to a coating or to get painted, or it needs to be food grade or mirror grade. So that before and after, I sell the tools and the abrasives, they get you to that level.
Okay, awesome. That was pretty easy. Who doesn't understand that, right? Is this the position that you got hired for and what you are doing right now? Is it the same position exactly, or has it morphed a little bit more into more things?
So I think once you get involved in a company, no matter what, you get more hats added.
Correct.
No matter what industry you're in, you get voluntold to do more. As soon as you learn that you're good at something, it just kind of picks up speed. So I got hired as a channel development specialist specified in the welding industry. So we sell into woodworking, aerospace, wind energy, automotive, any kind of refinishing. If there's a manufacturer that builds it or someone who finishes it, we're in that world.
Did you steal my water?
No, mine's right there though.
Sorry guys.
Easily distracted.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
So my job is to understand the welding industry, to travel and train members within this industry, and to go to all of the events like this and network.
So, but before, when you got hired, was the intent from the get-go is like, hey, we need to work on the welding side of our divisions?
Welding was my job.
Got it.
I also handled a few of our national accounts at the time. So I worked with Grainger, Fastenal, MSC, some of the big players.
Cool.
And I did the back-end data stuff, help with the website, the content, stuff like that. And as welding started to grow and my engagement with American Welding Society and GAWDA got more, I stepped away from the national accounts. And with the free time I was supposed to gain, I added more responsibility.
I know, same boat here, and we've talked about this. This is your second Fab Tech?
Third. Third, yes.
All right. But you were not part of AWS last year.
I was last year. So my very first year, I started 2 weeks before COVID hit.
Before we even get to that part, how did you get involved with AWS? What happened that, hey, you should, who said that, and why are you part of AWS?
So that's a cool story. I started with my company 2 weeks before COVID hit.
Okay.
So my first 9 to 12 months was you can't go anywhere, you can't talk to your customers, you can't go meet anyone, you can't travel, there's no trade shows to go to. And I was brand new to the industry. I knew nothing about welding, I knew nothing about power tools, I knew nothing about abrasives. So for me, it was a 9 to 12 month buffer where all I could do was learn about my products, learn about processes, understand metal, know the basics about welding so that I could talk to people
Bring value
and
to-
understand what I was talking about.
For sure.
And that's really important to me, to be able to actually come into a situation and add something to it. I just don't want to be that
Totally.
extra person.
Yeah.
So if I don't understand what I'm talking about, I shouldn't be there talking about it.
I agree. But you were going to tell me
Yes,
how...
FabTech.
Yeah.
So my very first year, it was 2 years ago in Chicago,
Yeah.
3 years ago in Chicago. And it was half the size of what a normal FabTech
Correct,
is,
yes.
because everyone was trying to come back from COVID.
People were still scared.
So I was talking with a few of my brand ambassadors, and I went to lunch with them, and they introduced me to Jason Becker.
Okay.
So as we're sitting there, he invites me out to a Florida AWS section meeting and goes, it's like a mini FabTech. You'll be at a table, there'll be a few other people around, you'll talk about your tools.
Yeah.
Perfect, cool, I can do that. I get there expecting there to be a handful of tables and a lot of people and just answering questions.
Yeah.
And the second I walk in, he goes, okay, so we put the table in the middle. There's about 40 to 50 people who are going to be here tonight. You have about an hour. And I was like, what do you mean? And he explained to me that I was the presentation that night, and that everyone was coming for AWS and what that meant. And I pulled up my big girl pants. I was like, okay. So we ran a demo. We talked about everything that we can offer and how we can benefit students, and just the basic knowledge and safety that comes with knowing how to run power tools.
Correct.
And then we let everyone run the tools.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was over, I gave them a little bit of crap, but he introduced me to the district director who was there and a couple other people, and they asked me if I was engaged.
Was that Daryl?
It was Daryl,
Okay.
yeah, Daryl Pearson. So he asked me if I was engaged in AWS in my local area, and
you're
I
like, what?
wasn't.
Yep.
I had no idea, no information. So he put me in contact with the people out here, and I asked when the next event was, and I showed up. And I walked in, and they looked at me, and they're like, young female with a Dynabrade shirt on. We have no idea who you are. And they instantly started talking to me, and they made me feel very welcome, and we talked about it and what the demographic was and what they were looking for, and if I could be of any help. So I sat through that meeting, I went to a couple more, and then I hosted an event at Dynabrade.
Okay.
So there was a huge influx of people who came. We had almost 40, 50 people at that meeting.
That's a good meeting.
It was
as
so
you know,
cool.
that's one of the things that every section suffers from. You know,
Yes.
it's hard to get people, that weekday or whatever. So kudos to you.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I gave away some tools. I encouraged people to be active.
Of course.
We hadn't opened the facility to people like that in tour for a very long time, especially with COVID. So inviting all those people there to not only run tools, but to understand why it's important that we are a local company, that we live in their community, that we're a USA manufacturer, and we got to talk about our history and how much we love being part of this community.
Yeah, and especially people were eager to just talk to other human beings, and it's like, oh my God, there's other people alive somewhere else. Awesome.
It was perfect
right?
timing.
Yeah,
it was.
I get it. And now that you got that little bit of exposure in the beginning, and like, hey, I can do this. This is pretty cool. Not only does it expose the company, but exposes you to a whole new crowd.
Yeah.
Now, 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, whatever, what are you doing for AWS?
So with a sales and marketing background, I have a different perspective than the rest of my section.
Yeah.
A lot of them are welding instructors or fabricators, or they have the technical background.
Yep.
So I complement them in the way that I manage our social media. I create the flyers and the events. I keep them organized and make sure that they're getting things done as we need to get them done. So I excel in making them look really good, and that's what I enjoy doing with them. So I am the first vice chair this year.
We need more Lexis out there, guys. Just saying.
Yeah, please. We will volunteer you to pick up more work too.
Yep.
So I'm first vice chair, and I help my chairman organize everything and get everything involved. And then our district director is just got reelected for one more session.
And what's his name?
Ron Stahura. He works with ESOB. He's one of the regional guys.
Gotcha.
So he has two deputy directors, me and one of our guys out of Syracuse, Jose, who's actually the future leader of AWS this year.
Okay.
So we all have a lot on our plates. But the three of us meet every 2 weeks, and we talk about what's going on in all the sections and how we can get more engaged and if we can combine section events. Because again, we're a small district.
Correct.
So there's a lot of opportunity for the Rochester and Syracuse to come down to Buffalo and vice versa.
That's pretty cool.
It gives people more opportunity to experience everything that's local to us.
Of course. And now that you are 3.5 years in, you've done shows, AWS, you get more and more involved. Where do you see yourself 3-4 years from now? Like, what's the end goal, the short end goal?
Yeah. Okay. So
because again, she's under 30, so the goal is way ahead.
It's a sliding scale, actually.
Yeah.
The more I learn, the more I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave the welding industry. I have enjoyed it so much. There is so much education available in this industry that you can pick a different segment every year and learn an unbelievable amount of information. And what you don't realize is how much it relates to everything else. And because our distributors and the customers that we work with do so many different applications, it's always a learning opportunity. So I never want to leave the welding aspect of it. But the work that I picked up when I left the national account responsibility is education. It's my biggest focus. It's what I love doing the most. So we are about to launch a education program for welding schools, woodworking schools, and refinishing for aerospace, marine, and automotive. That program is going to be like a buying discount, but we're going to wrap education into it. Our sales team across the U.S. is going to go in and work with the students every semester and make sure that they understand the safety and maintenance that is required by tools. What makes an air tool different than an electric tool, why you would want to use both, and understanding how compressors work and what PSI is and how to maintain something, and the difference between air lube and gear lube, and keeping the water out of your airlines, all of that.
Plus he gets the name in front of the students early on.
That's a perk.
Right, I know where this is going. I've been around.
Trade secrets.
It's all good. That's awesome to hear, because I coached baseball for a long time. I was always Red Cross or with school programs. We have something similar as well. So I know how important it is to give back. I mean, it's the only thing we got really that it satisfies you and gives you something really that you can touch. ROI. That's at the end of the day. So I love to hear that. But
that's my long-term goal, is that I can take the basic education program we're about to launch in the next couple months and develop it into something that really benefits the next generation. So that when they graduate, they understand more than just the welding, the fabrication, and that side of it.
How many shows do you do a year?
It ranges. FabTech is definitely my biggest and busiest, because if I'm not involved in American Welding Society events or going to a talk or a networking event, I'm working my booth. So I come in early to help my team set up, and I stay late to help break it apart. The ones that pay the check, by the way. Yeah, exactly. All of the other stuff is fun, and it's good, and networking is so powerful. But Dynabrade pays my bills, so they're first and foremost. But FabTech is an incredible show, and then I go to a few other industry trade shows just so I can get exposure to other things that exist.
You guys go to the GAWDA meetings as well, right?
And we are very big members of GAWDA, which has anywhere from 2 to 8 trade shows a year, depending on how many you go to.
Are you guys also part of any buying groups?
We were, but we can no longer be that. We only work with affiliate distribution. So when you're in a buying group, you have to allow everyone within it to purchase. Which undermines the distributors that we partner with. And because we're so focused on training and making sure our distributors are comfortable with our products, you can't overpopulate a market.
Oh, I get it. Well said, well said. Now let's go to the personal side. Who is Lexi at home?
Very sarcastic.
Really? I don't see that.
Yeah, even more so than when I'm in a professional setting, which is hard to believe for some people. I think I'm quite funny. You can ask other people and they may not agree with you, but we'll go with that.
I'll ask and we'll see.
My husband is equally funny, so we kind of out-funny each other. But we've been together for so long that we'll make jokes.
How long have you been married?
We've been married since 2020. But we've been together since 2013 and friends since 2008. So we are middle school sweethearts.
I was going to say, did you guys meet pushing each other's toddler? I mean, come on.
We're middle school sweethearts. It's crazy how it worked out like that. But people think I'm funny, people think he's funny, and we don't think each other are funny anymore. We just give each other that, really.
It's well, they like you, I don't know why.
It works out well, though.
All right, that's pretty cool. Now, where are you going to go next? We are here in FabTech Chicago, 2023. By the time you guys see this, it'll be a few weeks after. So where are you going next?
So I will be home for 2.5 days, and then I'm flying to Kansas to do an open house with one of my distributors, which is basically when a distributor invites a ton of manufacturers in, and they invite all of their customer base to come in. So you meet and greet with their customers, you train them, and you help them build sales calls for later on in the time. So I'm going to go spend a couple days with one of my distributors out in Kansas. I'll be home for 6 hours, and then I have an AWS community service event that takes my entire Saturday. And 2 days later, I am flying to Hawaii for a GAWDA
What's going on
show. Yeah, very funny. Frank and I both get to go to Hawaii for a trade show through the GAWDA, which is the Gas and Welding Distributor Association.
It's hard work. It's hard work.
It is hard work, but it's networking and it's engagement, and it is very fun.
Have you ever been?
No, and I didn't know if I'd ever get a chance to go again.
Yeah. So I know your husband's coming down, right? And you guys got some stuff planned before the show and all.
Yeah,
that,
we're
right?
gonna do some vacation first and then work.
Which I'm trying to tag along for one of the days. You know, we'll see if they let me. And we'll.
I already bought the tickets. We're good.
Really?
Yeah.
How you doing? Now here you are. We come back from Maui. Mm-hmm. Is the rest of the year kind of smooth sailing, or?
I have a lot of local events. As the deputy director for my section, when I'm not traveling for Dynabrade, I try and go to as many local events as I can and help show that support. I don't travel as much towards the end of the year, November to December, but as soon as January kicks off, I'm back into the world.
So how's living in Buffalo in
Cold.
November, December?
I travel
January?
south during the summer. My trips
and
are
and I don't
engaged
travel
during the
north
winter.
During the winter,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think, and we've talked about in the industry, and you and I talked about this the other day, how your name keeps popping up and for certain things and more, which is a great. It just speaks highly of you.
It's a great feeling.
And what people think about you, and I give you kudos because everything that you're doing is the right way. You are promoting yourself the right way. And there's a reason why you are where you are right now. And the sky's the limit, guys.
Thank you.
I mean, this girl, trust me, I'm lucky that she's sitting here with me now.
You're making me blush, stop it.
Yeah, because 2 years from now, I won't be able to talk to this girl.
That's not true at all. I love all of my people.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you learned something about Lexi, something about Dynabrade. Here we are. I'll see you somewhere else next time with another guest, because if they keep saying yes, I'll keep asking. Thank you, guys. Lexi?
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say?
Follow me on Instagram, _Lexi, or on LinkedIn at Lexi Mcdermott.
There you go.
Thank you.
She's cool. All right, guys. Thank you.